I think the Greentrees come to Australia as convicts. And then
didn't everybody?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you say Australia?
Australia as
Australia.
Australia.
No, I thought maybe I'd been saying it wrong the whole time.
The good thing about this podcast is everyone's going to see that you're actually a mean bastard. The truth's about to come out. Because you got super white teeth doesn't mean you can be a good bowener.
Well, 10, 15 miles a day. So you look at water, and you want to get in the water so bad because you're so hot. And so we were just looking, and we're like, God, do you see any crocodile slides? And we got in, we swam around.
Dude, I don't think it doesn't matter how hot it would get. I don't think I'm getting in that water.
You say that. If it's 80 or 90, you're like, it's too dangerous to go swimming in there. If it gets over 100, it'd be like, it's fine. It'd be sweet. Hello, world of the Iced Tea podcast. It's good.
Oh, man.
Is there a full speaker that's going to capture my every word?
It's already going
now. Oh, my gosh. Sorry, people. I'd like to get top live one day, Cam.
Are we rolling here? Have you?
What's up, baby?
Adam, you're the Adam Greentree. Surely you have achieved top live before.
It's Adam.Greentree.
I think I'm going to leave.
Yeah, if you're going to say the handler name, you got to say it right.
Adam.
Yeah, don't send people to some random Adam Greentree.
Yeah.
There's like two in the world.
Two in the world.
I don't. Greentree. Is there some kind of like deep meaning behind that name?
I think the Greentrees come to Australia as convicts. And then
didn't everybody?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you say Australia?
Australia.
Australia. It started.
No, I thought maybe I'd been saying it wrong the whole time.
The good thing about this podcast is everyone's going to see that you're actually a mean bastard. The truth's about to come out.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody's teeth.
I think you'll get more followers.
Yeah, probably. Is this mine? Yeah.
Anyway, so I believe the last name was probably something different, and then the police or authorities come along and then asked this convict their last name, and they just looked at a Greentree and they said Greentree.
Greentree. Yeah, see, Harbert's son, at some point there was a son of Harbert.
Yeah.
And that's how I got mine. Not as cool as somebody looking at a tree.
Yeah.
Or like underwear.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
You have no choice but to hear
Welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. We are joined by Cameron Haynes, Adam.Greentree.
This is Instagram. Yep.
And
make sure you follow.
Jordan Harbertson.
Yep. Jordan_Harbertson. Yep. My following is getting really strong. Maybe not to the level of your three, but I feel like I'm somewhere in the wheelhouse.
Well, I have a bunch of questions for you guys today. I want to run a few by you.
Jordan said he didn't know what you guys were going to talk to us about. They were like, "What are we going to talk to those guys about?"
Jordan was prepped, but he's not a good listener. He talks a lot, but he's not a good listener.
It's hard to listen. It's hard to listen when you talk.
Yeah, that's right. So
this is one lesson that Cam has taught me in my lifetime of our friendship. Jordan, if you talk less, you'll probably learn more.
Well, I got to admit, going straight up live is a little uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
You feel vulnerable.
Adam
right
was like,
the pressure's on.
Whatever.
That's just normal.
Well, yeah. What's normal?
If you screw up, you screw up. It's normal life.
So I wish we could answer the questions on there. We're top live right there.
I did have a question for
you. We're not here just for your Instagram, Cam.
Adam, we talked about this earlier, and I want to revisit it. Is this a mohawk or a mullet?
It's a mohawk. For it to be a mullet, it'd have to be a
longer in the back.
It'd have to be like a luscious bit of hair at the back there.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm nice now again because we're on.
There's people
on
here now looking. Let's all change.
I did want to ask you guys, what do you think between the two of you? What will it take to get Joe Rogan to hunt in Australia?
He's not coming to Australia to hunt.
Does that make you think less of him?
A little bit. Joe, if you're listening, it actually does. We're actually at the back of the Comedy Store one night, and because I just always thought it was a big joke, that he was just carrying on a bit sissy about, But no, he's actually a real snowflake when it comes to things like that. Because a rat come past the back of the Comedy Store and he pretty much grabbed me and Joe's twice the size of me, so he pretty much just grabbed me and threw me right in front of this rat, and threw me right in the line of fire. But he full freaked out hardcore. So he's and I keep posting these things as a bit of a joke, and it's gone too far now, and he's not going to come out. So.
What's your take, Cam?
I have went down with Adam a couple times, and we've had great hunts. There is risk with hunting down there, and that's part of the draw.
Yeah,
that's what I love. And so I would assume that, I don't know, I kind of think everybody's like me, and I thought, oh, that's just more the adventure. And so I think, who wouldn't want to go down there and risk their life to kill a buffalo or whatever? But apparently not everybody feels that way. So Joe is, he loves bow hunting. He loves especially elk hunting with the bow. Mm-hmm. Not super excited about the snakes, spiders.
There is a lot in Australia.
What really sucks
crocodiles.
Is we both know that he'd absolutely love it. And it'd be like a life memory.
He said bow hunting changed his life. Bow hunting down there, when you just get dropped off from a helicopter and the first time we tried to just survive with no food and just live off the land.
Like bull piss and stuff.
But when you do stuff like that if bow hunting changes your life, that's another aspect to it that can similarly change your life. And so we both know that it would just have a huge impact. So that's why it's almost, and I know Adam said this, that it almost hurts that he doesn't want to do it.
Because we know what he's missing out on.
Yeah.
The real truth is, a month in that backcountry in Australia is probably not as dangerous as driving a day in LA on the road.
It's true.
Like, dead set. It's And
you won't turn gay. So
that's only in LA.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So that's another positive.
People are leaving.
So tell me this. Like, Adam, didn't you say, though, that at one point you shot a pig and then you didn't go down and get it when it went down by the water?
Yeah.
Tell me this story.
So I shot a pig, it was a big boar too, big tusk and that on him, and he sort of just went over the rise and was he was just having the final stages of his life, right on the edge of the water. He was about to expire. Mm-hmm. It was only a couple of seconds. And so I had an arrow out, and then when I seen the shot was through the heart or bottom of the double lungs, and he was sort of just going down, I stopped for a second, I put the arrow down and was just waiting for him to drop. And I just stuck the arrow away and just heard a massive rush of water and a big clap. And here's this massive croc that comes straight up on the bank and grabbed his boar and dragged it in the water. And I kept thinking how close I was to getting taken myself, because if the boar had died straight away and dropped on the water, I would have been straight down there to grab it and drag it out, and that croc was right there. Anyway, this big, and it was big saltwater crocodile.
This is not helping the case of getting Joe to come to Australia. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. But I'm listening.
But
keep going.
Also, I didn't die, so
that's a positive, right, Kimmy? That's a positive. Yeah.
So, anyway, and then this croc come back up, 20 or 30 meters out, and was swimming across to the other side with this big boar in its mouth. And there was a second crocodile right behind it, trailing it. So there was, within seconds, there was two big crocodiles just there waiting.
That is unnerving.
Yeah.
Dude,
But it just, I was going to say we're pretty cautious, but we went swimming in that water last time we were there. But generally, we're pretty cautious. And
what we did the first time I went, when we got dropped off, it was hot, 110 Fahrenheit, 120 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And we were walking, long 10, 15 miles a day. So you look at water, and you want to get in the water so bad because you're so hot. And so we were just looking, and we're like, God, do you see any crocodile slides? And no, kind of walked around. But as Adam said, they can just sit in there. There's no slides. There's no wet spots.
And you're talking about where they come in and out of the water.
Yeah. And
you're looking for sign.
The water's brown, and so you can't see anything in there.
Yeah.
And we got in. We swam around.
Dude, I don't think it doesn't matter how hot it would get. I don't think I'm getting in that water.
You say that. If it's 80 or 90, you're like, it's too dangerous to go swimming in there. If it gets over 100, it'd be like, it's fine. It'd be sweet.
That's awesome. Especially if I know that I've seen a crocodile drag a pig in there.
Yeah. That body of water that we went swimming in, I'd definitely not go in there today, knowing what I now know. But
that's not creepy.
Yeah, it's but that's adventure. So you mitigate the risk. If you want, are we supposed to stay in our house and on our couch and lock the doors every day? So there's different levels to what risk you want to take. But we love the adventure, and so that's why we love backcountry Australia.
And Dad said it's probably riskier just everyday life in a big city than going out there. It really is. So, do you live in a shell, or do you just get out there and experience life for what it is?
And to change gears a little bit, you guys have obviously become really good friends. I'm curious, like, how that happened and what it is that draws you guys to each other.
Well, it was like I'd never even heard about Cam because, Australia's a long way away, and it's only in the last few years that, like, Australia and
you guys have
the US
electricity,
really
right?
Yeah. No, we don't. We ride kangaroos everywhere. But actually, Mike from Hoyt sort of we ended up getting on a phone call together, didn't we? And then he's like, "This is Cam and this is Adam, and it'd be cool to get out to Australia." And it mustn't have been a month later, and we're out there buffalo hunting.
Yeah, Mike Looper at Hoyt. Knowing both of us, he thought that we would get along well. And so he's like, what can we do to facilitate you guys meeting? Maybe, Cam, would you be interested in going on a hunt? Of course I would. So that it just kind of happened that I'm like, I'm always, if somebody says something to me, I want to do it like tomorrow. Because I'm like, I might be dead in 2 weeks. So I don't want to wait 2 weeks.
We get along, because exactly what Eve's saying is what I'd be saying.
So we actually got on it. And I'm like, well, when could I come? And it was, of course, terrible time like normal,
Yeah.
And I'm just, we don't care. We're like, well, we'll make the best of it. And I went down in December, which is, it's hot. It was super hot. Wasn't just like this last time when I went back and we did the film for Under Armour. It was a wet season and terrible time to hunt, but.
And you can't drive in. Usually you drive in and you have all the luxuries of like a decent truck with all the gear in it.
I heard that podcast.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had to take a helicopter in there the whole way. So 4.5 hours one way for helicopter and 4.5 hours out. So.
And you did it while you were still in the woods, or were you at your cabin?
No, just out in the.
That time, we were around the fire in the woods.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That was legit, just because it was so fresh and
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
The fire sparkling in the background.
Yep.
Yeah, when you're on a hunt, I feel like I remember hunts pretty well, remember details, but there's nothing like still being on the hunt. And, we had buffalo coming in and wanting to charge us, or we had the tough conditions of fallow deer hunting, that's a super skittish animal. So when those memories are that fresh, I think it just makes the recollection even better.
Did you publish that on Bowhunter's Life, or was that on your?
That was mine. Yeah, Keep Hammering.
Keep Hammering. That was, it was really good.
Thank you.
So, Cam, you like run 240 miles and lift weights and stuff, and
usually every day.
Yeah,
240 miles.
Well,
I ran 200 today because I had to be here.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's only 2:38.
Hey,
so that's
238.3. So that point
don't
three is
discount.
like here to that wall.
That's my question. Like, you guys get along really well, but one thing you don't have in common is I don't.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
You talk about, how did you guys come to know? You didn't even really know Cam or much. I get no electricity, you ride kangaroos. It's funny because how I got introduced to Adam was actually through Matt Davis. And Matt said, Matt's legendary, right? Matt said to me, Adam Greentree is like the Cameron Haynes, but for Australia.
That doesn't work out.
That was my next comment. I was like,
eats Vegemite.
If I look at Cam and I look at Adam, we've got this, muscular individual over here, physique, everything, and you got a depleted soul that
Mohawk,
that's
yellow teeth.
And it was just, anyways, how do you be able to be friends when this guy's out crushing 500 miles and you're eating 500 Twinkies.
Twinkies.
You Twinkies,
Hey, I'll chime in. What I do, all the running and on all that, whatever aside, the connection that I have with Adam, and I kind of mentioned this the other day, and then I also
saw that on your Instagram
with Roy, who he never ran either. It's not about the running or lifting or whatever. It's about the love of love of bow hunting.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, whatever else aside, I don't know what anybody does 24 hours a day, but if you love bow hunting, we have a connection. And so that's what's brought us together.
We had a quote today from one of our previous podcasts, and his name's Bud. He's got Catching Deers as their company.
Yeah.
And he said just to what you said. He said, I love hunting because it's a conduit for my friendships. Mm-hmm. It's a place that no matter what we're doing or how each one of us is living, at the end of the day, we're coming together and we're hunting. And it's not only strengthening our friendships and our bonds and creating brotherhoods, but it's just that it's
camp.
And they don't even have to be in your age bracket.
No.
Like some of my best friends are like in their 70s because they're bow hunters, and then I've got really good friends, that are 17 and 18 years old. And it's just, the worst thing about it is you make these friendships with people, and like Cam lives on the other side of the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes it difficult.
World.
So
just
across the pond, right? He lives across the pond.
It's actually a different country.
So
we have electricity.
So Cam, I heard you once on Rogan's show when you talked about Roy passing, and you said, you just didn't think you'd have somebody that you could go do the same things with, because you're pretty hardcore, and there's not very many people that want to do kind of some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's hard to find. That's why it's really hard to find a really good hunting partner, because there's a lot of bow hunters, and there's a lot of guys that go the extra distance, and then there's guys that are just, like we live for it. It's just what we do, and it's how our makeup is, and it is hard to find that.
Yeah.
But you come to a show like the ATA show, and it's full of those guys that are just, this is their passion, archery and bow hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Roy came back to ATA, God, I don't know what it was, probably 7 years ago, and just loved walking around. I mean, I see a bunch of people right here that you can just stand and talk to, BS about hunting, about your bow, about what if you hunt Ohio or you hunt who knows where, go on a big trip to Alaska, and you just have that connection.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'll never forget the time Roy came back here, but yeah, it's hard. I have on the other end of that scale taken people into some of the wilderness hunts that I do, and it wasn't what they thought it was going to be.
Right.
It was like, because it's not all the big glossy pictures and the good memories and wasn't that awesome when you killed that big bull? It's not all that. That's like this much of it. So we were back in there, and it's just, they're miserable.
You don't have the same connection.
Yeah. And I'm looking at them going, man, how can you be miserable? This is living.
Yeah.
It's just
hard to
different
find
things. So that's why when you find somebody, that's actually the hardest thing is when Roy moved to Alaska, I didn't have anybody. And so I was like, well, either I don't go or I go by myself.
Yeah.
So I went by myself, and it's just like, all these guys here would know that finding somebody who gets is as passionate as you are and wants it just as bad as you, or maybe not as bad as you, but you guys connect and agree on that. Yeah. That's hard. Yeah. So I feel really lucky when I have somebody that, I'm there, and I don't feel like I have to try to convince to go further or stay longer, Yeah. Because that's hard.
Oh, I agree.
And you don't want to be doing that because it's a dampener on your own trip, and but at the same time, you want that person to just love it, realize how good this is and what's in front of you.
That's why even with Joe, the greatest thing would be if we took him down there and he got there, and like when we were on a Utah hunt, and a lot of people have seen that hunt, when he said, bow hunting has changed my life, that was just like, that's all you want to hear.
Yeah.
That's like,
he said it repeatedly, too.
I think that's just above when your wife says she loves you. That's like, it's right above there. He said, bow hunting changed my life.
I don't do that.
No, not our wives.
Not our wives.
Other wives.
Yeah. Oh. Well, before we get off the Roy topic, I have one more personal question for you, Cam. You said in a video at one point, I think you said it on Joe's podcast too, you said, Roy's gone, I am devastated. He was strong, I am weak. Mm-hmm. When I hear Cameron Haynes, I don't think weak generally. I think someone who can run 240 miles, who hits the gym every day without fail. I don't think weak. And I'm curious what you meant by that.
It was kind of at that time, I felt pretty weak because, that was right after Roy died, and it's just like, it just sucked. Yeah. And I felt weak. Normally I'm very confident. I have no doubts in my ability almost in any setting. But at that time, I was just like, it wasn't good. And I just felt like I didn't feel like how I normally feel. And so when I think of Roy, no matter the situation, it was never too dire. There was never anything like, oh, we got to give up. It was always like, let's figure this out, and we do this, we'll do that, and we'll do that, and it's always going to be okay. So there's not a lot of people like that, that no matter what, it's going to be okay. And so Roy was that guy. And then, I never thought we're in the mountains a lot. The mountains can win sometimes. I never thought the mountain would beat Roy. And that sucked.
Time.
Yeah.
So when you first met Cam, how much did you know about him before he came to Australia?
Very little, but
Really?
yeah, in those couple of weeks, I was watching everything and trying to sort out, what. Because who knows,
Who's Joker?
Who knows
coming to my
who
camp?
Hoyt was stitching me up with? It could have been horrible.
Stitching me up with.
Yeah. Do you use that word here, stitch up?
No.
No.
Most
Hey,
of the
put
words
together.
most words you've said, we don't use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I like to say is, so Cam had come all that way, you know, for that hunt, like big flights, and then the first afternoon we walk out, and he's got his backpack on, and I've got my bow, and the other guy that's with us has got his bow, and then Cam doesn't have his bow in his hand. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, no, you guys shoot first. I'm like, serious? You're the guest. You've come all this way. Like, we're doing this hunt for you. And he's like, no, you guys hunt first, but straight away that said a lot about him, like that he had come all that way and he still wanted us to shoot a buffalo first. I end up putting my bow down. Like, I'm not going. I'm not.
So nobody was going to take a bow.
The hunt is off.
I guess we're going hiking.
Yeah. Anyway, and most people will know this, but he ended up getting his bow, and like that afternoon, we call it 100-point bull. Like 100 points, a big bull.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been the second or third lot of buffalo that we looked over, and Cam put a stalking on it and shot this beautiful big bull that went 100 and something points. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was killer. But
So, good first day.
yeah, it was a good first. Pressure's off. So
What did you think? Like right off the bat, as you got to know him.
Because, like I said, it's so hard to find someone that's that dedicated to bow hunting. And then, but you still want him to be a nice guy. You can be the best bow hunter in the universe, but if you're not a nice guy, I'm not going to want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
So, the fact that Cam is and still is a really nice guy and good bow hunter. It's been
Nice.
good.
Big white teeth.
Yeah.
So, so Cam, what did you think of Adam here?
To be honest, I thought I didn't know if he was gay. No. I was kidding. Can we edit this part out? No. So to be honest, that hunt was harder than I thought it was going to be. I mean, there's no mountains.
Yeah.
It's flat as this right here, but it was so freaking hot, and we had no food. And
How did that happen?
no, well, that was the plan. We were like, because he goes, and it all sounds good when you're at home and laying up.
It never used to be the plan. The first couple of times this story got told, that was not the plan. Adam was supposed to pack food. He didn't. I've slowly turned it to no, that was the plan all along. And
Okay.
he's going with it now,
Well,
so it's good.
Whatever the case is,
There was no food.
we had no food.
Yeah.
So what we did, there was this, the natives had a village there, and they actually have power, like solar power, because they to help the natives live out there, the Aborigines live out there. And so we found an old freezer, and it had some hamburger patties in it. Like, who knows how long they'd been there.
Or how many times they defrosted.
Or how many times it'd been. Yeah, so anyway, so that was what we had. And then I had like about this much trail mix from the airport in my pack. And that's all we had. And then we did catch,
Seems like
Adam caught a fish.
bad idea.
But so anyway, so you couple no food, the heat, which I wasn't used to, walking. I'm used to walking, but all that, to be honest, I was joking around at the beginning, but to be honest, it was harder than what I thought. And I thought, this guy is tough. I'm like, I don't know, because sometimes, and that's happened to me before, because when I go up to Alaska, you think down here in the lower 48, it's like, I've done this, I've done that. But you go up there, and it was like, I went up there, and everyone is tough.
Yeah.
Because living up there is tough.
Right.
And when you go to Australia, you get to people who hunt in the outback there, and you have to be tough. So I was walking around, me and Adam were hunting, and it was, day after day, and I'm just like, this guy's freaking tough. That's all I remember thinking. And so it was.
If there's the possibility at something that like I could hike 500, 600, 700 miles. If there's a possibility to that, there's an animal that I can hunt at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like that's how I sort of get my fitness, and that hunt's the same. The more country you cover, the more chance you find one of those big bulls. But one bit was water, because you're literally filtering like buffalo piss, like the
I heard you guys tell
filthiest
that
water.
story.
And you'd filter it through, and like it would be in like a clear jar, and it'd be like dirty still. And you're like, isn't the filter supposed to take all that out? And the smell and the taste.
Yeah, and then we'd like put the shirt in between, and then pour in through the shirt. And I'm like, the shirt should get most of that. Then you'd go like this, and you'd be like, nope, still buffalo piss.
And it was such an effort to filter water that the drink that you had, by the time you filtered more water, you'd be like, I'm thirsty again. It was so hard to catch up on it.
I did that this year with Aaron. We filled up in this wallow thing. We were desperate for water, and then we did the SteriPin thing in there. And I used a shirt to filter the big particles
chunks
out.
Yep.
And I put Mountain Ops Ignite in there, pink lemonade. It just still tasted like elk, but Badusi, like it just
Badusi.
Yeah, that was Aaron's term. But it definitely, you couldn't get rid of it. You couldn't mask it.
Well, we never got sick or anything. I think you harden up to that sort of thing as well. But
never got sick.
No, never been sick drinking crappy water.
And I think experiences like that, which is another reason why anybody, but Joe, because he's our friend, is when you have been thirsty and all you want is a drink of water, I think it's a different perspective for us in regular life. You don't complain about the little things, because you've been to the place where all I want to do is have a drink of water. That's all I want. Yeah. So if somebody says, I got you this ice cold water, but it doesn't have any ice in it. Is that okay? It's just like, yeah, that's fine, actually. Where maybe if I hadn't done that, I'd be like, why is there no ice? I want ice in my water. But I mean, because you do that often enough, you're just like, the little things don't matter.
And I guarantee you, everyone here right now takes water for granted until you're in that situation, like even me. And then you actually have a drink of water, and you realize actually water's got a real beautiful taste to it, and how precious it is. And you get a little bit teary.
I remember I took my kids, or it was my oldest son, in the wilderness, and he had a sandwich. And he ate the sandwich and then the crust, kids and the crust, whatever. And he's a crust, and he throws the crust. And we're in like 12 miles in, and I go, you're going to want that crust. He goes, no, I hate the crust. I go, you're going to want it. And so that's just an example. At home, don't eat the crust.
Yeah, right.
But back there, you're just, then it was later on that trip, and it's just like, give anything for that crust. I'm starving. So
I'll tell you a funny little story. I'm way in the backcountry with my buddy Mark, and like I ran out of food like the night before, and I've hiked around. I'm trying to get onto this bark, and I can't get onto this bark, and I end up miles out from where I want to be. And he gets back early. He packs up camp and leaves, and my camp's just set up there. And I'm walking back, and I'm starving. And then right where his camp was set up, he had these little biscuits with just like a bit of butter and Vegemite on them. Vegemite, you will catch on. Anyway, and he dropped like it was just a tiny little, like when he's taking a bite, it was just like a little crusty bit, like sort of dropped down the ground. And I found that in the camp, dude. Do you know how excited I was?
yeah.
And like I didn't just scoff it, I like picked it up and I looked at it for a little while. I'm like, hello.
Well, what you get to where you you just want to have, so you'll take a nibble of something, then you'll take a drink of water. And I think, I'm like, oh, it's in there, and then it swells up in my stomach. That's going to feel like more. I take another nibble, another drink of water. I'm like, I got a system.
Yeah.
I can make a bite that big feel like
a meal,
a whole roast.
And that's the best part. That's the best bit of appreciation you can have in life. When you get to that point where just the simplest little things are that good, then it makes all this look so much more grand, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you talked about, crocodiles in Australia, but you came here and hunted in the U.S. and you came across grizzly bear, and you were talking to Rogan. I heard you mention this, that man eater creeps you out, but like,
oh yeah, for sure.
But like the crocodile, and the black mamba and all that stuff, you're down.
We don't have any black mambas, but
yeah,
whatever. You have black poisonous stuff.
Yeah, we do. But the crocodile, you got to go. The crocodile's not going to come into my camp unless I camp right on the banks of the water. Or I can be camped on anywhere on the mountain there in Montana, and a grizzly come in the camp.
True.
You know, that's the difference. And I'm not going to walk out and hunt a deer, and a crocodile's like stalking me where I'm hunting the deer. A bear in the US, though, will do that. You know, so.
True.
It's more dangerous here. I've never thought about carrying a handgun in Australia. I would not walk out in the woods here without a handgun.
Cam does it all the time.
Yeah.
Without a handgun?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got a death wish.
He
could outrun it by 238 miles.
No, that last year Roy was here when I killed the grizzly, and on
I remember that
the YouTube
story.
video. Yeah, the bear, a sow went and attacked the boar that I killed
Immediately.
And then because I was telling Roy, I said, God, she's tearing up my bear. And he had a gun. I said, shoot out there. And he's like, shoots, not trying to hit her or anything, nothing. She's like, going like just insane. And I'm like, hey, I'm yelling at her, nothing. And we yell again, and she looks at us and starts coming, full speed, just sprinting. This is like 130 yards away. And I'm like,
could you smile at her?
Well, I don't know. I wish I should have tried that. But Roy's like, well, if she comes, across the creek, I'm going to have to shoot her. And she came across the creek, full speed, came 20 yards away and stood up right there. And we're like, get out of here. And she dropped down and started to come, and boom, he shot, and he hit her right here and folded her, dropped her and killed her. And it's different up there. That was defensive life and property. So we called Fish and Game and said what happened. And they're just like, well, skin her out and bring the hide and the head in and fill out the form. And, that's what it is. Down here in the lower 48, it's a little bit different with the bears. I mean,
a lot of people ask me, like, how did I get to the point when she was still standing there after she charged me twice that I filmed her? But
yeah, let's back up and tell that story. Like from the start, what happened? Because you ran into
I ran into a grizzly with cubs, and is
that Montana?
Yeah, it was in Montana. And sometimes when you see game, and you put your eyes on them, you know that they're just getting you in their eyes at the same time. Well, that's what it was like. I was coming up over her eyes. Her eyes met mine, and then she just come straight at me. She charged to about 20 meters. I pulled out a revolver and, sort of got ready to shoot her, and she turned off at 20 meters. She went back. She seen where her cub was, and then she come at me flat out again, so quick. Like,
they're big.
Scary. How does something that
was
big.
Was the cub up a tree?
The cub was at the base of a tree, not up it. And then the next time she come to 10, and...
Dude, 10 is close.
10 is real close.
I mean, 20's
and I
too
say
close.
10 because it's just an even number. It could have been 8. It might have been 12. I like to think it was about 8, but 10
Were you, flexing on her? Like, what were you doing to...
Pretty colourful language that I won't repeat here. Just
arms up or just pointed?
I actually just stayed. I tried to stay really still, and I was just yelling at her, and I was just concentrating on her head coming in. And I didn't want to shoot it to the last minute. She went back to the tree, and then she was a bit slower there. And I wanted to pull my phone out to film it because down here they'll prosecute you if you, if down in Montana, if they don't think you were going to get ripped up, and you shot a bear, then you're in a lot of trouble, like jail and fines and stuff like that. So I pulled the phone out and started recording and documenting it and stuff like that. And at the same time, sort of looking at the gun, I'm like, I don't remember when I was shooting this gun that it was supposed to look like that. And the gun was jammed the whole time. So in Australia, it's very difficult to have handguns, and I'm not an expert in handguns or anything like that. But I thought the slide lock was on the whole time, and in actual fact, the bullet was jammed. And I was walking back, and I'm like, I'm surprised I didn't shoot her when she came out at 10 because that was close. And I kept thinking, I'm pretty sure I had a little bit of pressure on the trigger, and I reckon when she was coming at 10, I reckon I was pulling the trigger and the gun wasn't going off. But it was such a rush, and the adrenaline that goes through your system, and a lot of people ask, like, how did you sleep that night? Because I had to sleep in her area that night because it got dark. Yeah. And the adrenaline had worn off, and I think I was just worn out, and I had like a really good night's sleep, and I just woke up with a gun on my chest with just the single bullet down that I could load into the chamber,
when that bear stands up in that video, you can tell she's totally agitated.
Oh, yeah.
She's up, and she's not happy.
Well, she's already come twice, and I say in the video, I'm like, if she comes a third time, she come the 20, she come the 10, the third time's going to not be good.
Yeah.
And then I actually back out, and I get to a certain distance, and then she's just coming along slowly like she's watching me leave and stuff like that. So I thought she was going to come again even when I was backing away. But then I was like, I'm getting out of here. I'll The whole point of the trip was I was going to somewhere where there's not a ton of grizzlies, because where I usually shoot elk, I always see big grizzlies.
Yeah.
And they get game there. They come up to the tent and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'll go to this place. There's not as many grizzlies. No. I'm going back to where there's a ton of grizzlies and I've never been charged. And it worked out. I got a nice bull. I was happy.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a killer story. Were you following? You were following Cam?
Oh, yeah.
Because
that was a lot. That was like
following.
Well, no, that was like the longest hunt in the history of elk hunting, I think. Because I think I went on 3 elk hunts, and I'm like, God, is he still hunting?
That was really fun to watch, you tagging out every couple of days. Like, oh, cool, congratulations, like.
That was a long hunt. I'm at the end, I think I wanted him to kill a bull worse than he did. Not really, but I mean, I'm just like, come on, Adam, kill something. And so when he did, I was just like, I didn't see it. I'm trying to think who told me. They're like, you see Adam killed? I'm like, what? I was so pumped. I was like, how did I miss it? Got right on there and saw.
You did it all solo though.
Killed a nice old bull.
Solo,
yeah. And how much weight did you lose?
I think I worked it out.
21 days or something?
16 or 17 kilos. Not sure what that is in pounds.
That's not even real.
My legs were
not even a real thing.
It's not even a measurement. I don't know what that is.
I literally came out of the woods like looking at myself like, whoa.
16 Rolos? We got Rolos.
But no, it was cool. I'll do it again every year till I die.
It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It was. It was like, and you said this the other day. I mean, Adam's got the Instagram story thing down.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to experience some adventure every day, just check out Adam's story.
Yeah.
And it's not even all hunting.
No,
you could be like playing with turtles on the beach,
and,
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing. It's pretty cool to follow.
Yeah. No.
That's good. That's why I do it. Hopefully I'm entertaining.
Bow Hunter's Life.
Yeah.
That's your podcast.
Yep.
And I've listened to all the episodes, and they're good.
Thank you.
Yep.
He did say this. You can be okay with me saying this?
You can say it.
He said, I really enjoy the podcast that Adam does.
Don't take this the wrong way.
He's a little dry sometimes. Sometimes it could be a little
say
boring.
that.
I did not say that. When Kimmy comes on, man, it's such a great show. She really needs to be on there a lot more.
You guys have a dynamic.
No, he didn't say you were boring. I'm just kidding. But I think I've listened to the podcast too, and I think Kimmy, you are a riot in your own way. You two are probably one of the funnest couples to watch interact with each other. I think it's a pretty special relationship that the two of you have. Obviously, because we see that in Instagram stories. You're not too fond though of Cam's stories.
No, I'm that fond of him that I make fun of him. I love Cam's stories.
You don't appreciate that he likes to share with us what music he's listening to.
Depends what music is.
Here's a question for you guys. This is something that I think is really cool about the two of you. in probably the last 5 years, we've seen our industry change in many ways. Joe has been a big part and a big story and friend of your guys' lives. Joe being kind of in that mainstream community, you guys and all of us here being in this outdoor industry. You two have, with your associations and opportunity because of social media, have had the opportunity now to not only affect directly our community here, but you've been able to be a voice and I would say ambassadors to those who are not a part of our industry.
To the non-hunting world.
To the non-hunting world. And I think it's incredibly powerful. And how do you guys, this would be my question for you two, how do you guys deal with that responsibility? Because honestly, I feel like that's a lot that's placed on a person in some way.
So I wrote for the hunting magazines in Australia for 13 years straight and never missed an article or anything like that. But what I found is I was just preaching to the choir. Like, these people are already bow hunters that are buying the bow hunting magazines. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the social media side of things and put up a hell of a fight to try and get the audience that I had back then. But like, and I'll say it, like, Joe Rogan's the best thing that's happened to bow hunting ever. Like, just the amount of people that he can influence. And it's just not bow hunting, it's about eating meat and that this is okay and things like that. Now that he's passed a big part of that audience on to myself, and Cam's got a big part of his audience as well. We do positive things, so I'm happy. I'm like proud to have that audience because we're doing positive things. And it's a little bit weird to me, and I try and keep it real. And I just keep thinking having people look up to me or follow in my footsteps. I'm proud of that because I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm promoting a good thing, something that I really believe in. And it's hunting and. Just a good life,
It's awesome.
Why I think it's been so successful is Joe. I mean, people say all you want about Joe. I mean, they'll say, well, he smokes pot, or he does this, or he does that, or he's in L.A. The thing about Joe is he's super open-minded. And so the listeners of his podcast are pretty open-minded too. So they might not be hunters or know anything about hunting, but they're listening because Joe talks about
everything.
Porn to bow hunting.
Right.
So it's just like you got to be pretty open-minded if you're going to be following Joe. And so because they have that, they'll listen to it and they're open-minded about it and they'll give it a chance. And then they'll be like, I get messages every day that, hey, I've never hunted. I'm interested in providing for my family. I want to be a hunter. I want to know what it's like. I don't have any idea where to start. And that's because of I think, Joe. And that's huge because you got new people buying bows that otherwise wouldn't know anything about hunting. And then we've tried to, like Adam said, we're not doing anything wrong, but the bigger you get, the more people you'll come in that maybe don't understand or maybe just see one picture and be like really taken aback because who knows what the picture's of. And so you have to defend yourself a little bit against people like that.
Yeah.
So, I feel responsibility because of the reach that I have to do it right, to make sure I'm sharing the right things. And still people aren't going to be on board all the time. But I think if we do it right, and like Adam said, we're not doing anything wrong, this is all healthy. Maybe not everybody's going to get it, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people want to know what it feels like to be able to put meat on the table in front of your family that you killed, and you brought out of the mountains.
Like Cam would be getting these all the time, and like I get a bunch of them weekly where it's a person saying, I used to be a vegan, now I'm not because of you.
Right.
Or I am a vegan, but I've got nothing against hunting. I used to be an animal rights activist, but now I understand, like,
legit,
they blow you away. Like, that's the sort of impact that we're having, and that's what makes you, because sometimes you feel like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I sharing my life and what I do? And I'm happy not to share any of them. But if people are going to learn from it and it's going to open some minds, then I'm really happy to do it,
Yeah. The other day when BC, British Columbia, announced the grizzly bear ban, Cam, you did that post with the calf getting, the moose calf getting eaten by the bear.
It was elk, yeah.
Was it elk?
Elk, yeah.
Eaten alive.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is that to see
I
as a
saw
hunter?
it. I was like,
I didn't like watching it.
Yeah, definitely not.
It was hard to stomach.
The calf
was really tough.
Was mewing and crying and being eaten by a bear.
Yeah.
But I shared it because
to open people's minds because everyone, those people want to say, you're a hunter, you shouldn't hunt animals, you don't need to eat meat or anything like that. But no one's protesting against the bear going out there and killing it in that way.
Well, no one's...
And I said on your post, I'm like, I'm waiting for my letters of appreciation from animal activists to say thank you for killing in a humane way. It's true. They should be thanking us, dude.
Yeah.
We kill in a humane way. We make sure it's humane. It's the best death,
Right.
Well, and I see that post and I see some comments from the hunting world, and I also had this discussion with a lot of friends that are like, I don't like that approach. We should be above that. We shouldn't stoop to that level. And I see you and I see Joe regularly post things that get people's attention like that. And I said this on a post of yours the other day. I could totally agree with you in bringing forth like that type of post with the right messaging behind it.
Right.
It wasn't like you just said, hey, look at this bear. You know, you went into some more detail. What do you think about that messaging and how, and that type of content? Because you said on there, on your post, I disagree.
I think it's my responsibility to show things like that. I mean, I know that my Instagram gets out to 20 million people a week. They're not all hunters because a video like that will be tagged and shared and everything else. So put in context, I think it's my responsibility to help get that message out there because as Adam said, we preach to the choir a lot.
You do.
So the people who don't hunt don't know how brutal nature can be. They don't know that these bears follow moose and elk around waiting for those calves to drop just so they can eat them alive. That's just how it is. So if you don't kill the bear, then all the cows have bears trailing them when they're dropping cows and or the fawns and the calves, and there are none. I mean, that's one reason why where I killed brown bear up in Alaska, a non-resident could go up and kill 2 brown bear because the moose numbers are dropping so low because that's exactly what the grizzly were doing.
Right.
They were following those things around. But unless you're involved, you don't get it. You don't know. You think bear are, everyone's friend or they're a lot of people, like I guarantee, like in Vancouver where they did that survey talking about the BC grizzly ban and whether they thought, I think the word that the government used up there is grizzly hunting is no longer socially acceptable, is those people think that grizzly are almost endangered, an endangered species. Like there's so few of them you shouldn't hunt them.
Yeah.
That's how, I mean, even people maybe here that don't hunt think, oh, is there any grizzly bear? Because there are none in Indiana.
Right.
Or there are none in Oregon.
Right.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with BC or Alaska. So I think it's my responsibility to share that, to talk about management is conservation. That's what hunters do, and that's the absolute for a calf being eaten alive. That's the last way they'd like to go. I mean, dead is dead, but still, it's brutal.
I think you can take some steps back and say, how did this all come together? We've kind of talked earlier about how the two of you met and how everything, and I think we have to give a huge thank you to Hoyt.
Well, Hoyt full stop for me is just been a company that's always pushed positive. Like that, like push the bows and everything aside and just look at the guys that are in there running it. They're all so positive and they've always pushed for positive, like me and Cam. And like Mike kept in contact saying, how was it? Did you have fun? Was it good? And just like they were invested in me and Cam having a good time,
I wanted to ask, like Adam and Cam, what would you like to see the messaging be like among the hunting community, and what would you like to see somewhat changed?
One thing that definitely has to change is like a lot of the negatives that I come up against in hunting is actually hunters talking down other hunters. And that's just human nature in some people, it's just crazy. Like, and I think Cam would find the same, that most of the times I don't have an issue with some, animal rights person saying something to me because I already understand that they're like that.
Right.
But when you have a hunter come in and try and trash, what you're doing and saying, it's just...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It doesn't need to happen. As far as the hunting industry, where it's going, it's already going exactly where I'd love it to go, And I don't want actually bow hunting to be popular and like seen as cool. I don't.
Yeah.
Because you get the wrong people into the sport that aren't necessarily
I see what you
in
mean.
it for hunting, and they're not necessarily going to be ethical. They're just doing it because they think it's cool. Whereas I just want to see people that get into hunting. Just there's an internal drive in us hunters, and that's what makes you want to go hunting and then love it.
Yeah.
I don't want, and I've seen a bit of it over the last couple of years where people are doing it just because it's the in thing, and it's not a good outcome for wildlife. And
I might have a different take on that. When I first started bow hunting, I didn't have the perception I have now about what it means to be ethical, what hunting as a provider means. I wanted to hunt because, well, it was hard. I liked the challenge, but also I felt cool. I mean, I didn't know anybody who'd killed a bull elk with a bow. I wanted to do that. And so I was in it to be cool.
Yeah.
But I think as a group, hunters, I have a hard time pushing people away because I don't feel like it's up to me to say, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. I've never pushed anyone away like I've always.
My hope is that because the way we talk, the way we present hunting, that they see why we love it. And that's why they want to be involved.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
if their
just because you got a mohawk and look like a badass, that's just a byproduct.
Right.
They might have a mohawk too.
Well, it's the same. Just because you got super, 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 super white teeth doesn't mean you can be a good bow hunter.
Well,
You've got to work towards these things.
I agree. Like, for instance, I don't care, for example, if my daughter, I don't care what her motives are at first, but I want those motives to grow over time and become really pure.
I think that happens with hunting too. I mean, because, my son, he worked really hard to get a buck killed this year. He just wanted to get a buck killed. It didn't matter whether it was why or whether he looked cool or whatever. And it's just about he just wanted to get it done because he put so much into it.
Yeah.
And, over time he'll get older and it'll be about, hey, how is this, am I doing this for the right reason? Or am I sharing my story the right way or whatever? And, it's just, I do want to talk about what Adam spoke about too, about with hunters in the industry, not in the industry, but hunters in general talking smack about each other essentially. Because I had somebody ask me last night if they think that other things are as bad for people talking down as hunting is. Is there haters and other things also? And I said, my thought is that we put a lot into it. So sometimes I said, I'm not going to talk bad about a hater because I've been a hater. I remember when I was starting bow hunting, Chuck Adams, I was just like, how
you did not talk bad about
I'm
Chuck.
like, I want to have
How
those.
dare you?
I want to have those opportunities too. I want to do that. I want to write for those magazines. I can write good. They won't give me a chance. So I'm like, I was a kid. I didn't know anything. So I'm like, I get it.
Yeah, you've been there.
I get what that's like and how that feels. And what I want, and I learned this, over the course of the years, I try to celebrate other people. I try to, and I've openly admitted Chuck's one of my heroes, but that didn't mean that I wasn't jealous of some of those opportunities. But I try to lift people up. I like sharing people. I like celebrating others' accomplishments because, and maybe I was thinking about this myself, not knowing how to word it, but Joe told me this. Joe's been great for us and celebrating us and increasing our following. He goes, there's enough for everybody. He goes, you don't need to push other people down to be successful. They can be successful too.
Yeah.
There's enough pie for everyone. Let's get everybody up here. And so I've tried to do that, and it's true. And it's just like, and it feels so much better to not be jealous of something or to not think negatively about what somebody else did, instead to look at that person and go, that's awesome. I'm so happy for them. Yeah. I'm happy for their success. It's like a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I've switched a long time ago, but I remember what that was like, and it just feels so much better to just be positive, to just lift others up.
And I think what impact, I think to myself, well, what impact would that have on the industry, on hunting's perception to the outside world as a whole? It's nice to be able to share something that you like let's say Jordan shoots an elk with his bow for the first time and he cries. If he publishes that, people might hate him, right?
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Yeah, totally. But
I did it.
You'd cry or hate him?
But if it's an environment,
Oh.
Then
if it's-
hate him.
Well, he's telling a story and it really happened.
but if
so.
it's an environment where
so
Jordan,
this is a hypothetical?
Yeah, this is a hypothetical situation that we're speaking to.
Right.
I've never cried once in my life.
So if he posts that, there's this. It's if the community welcomes just everything,
It's honesty.
being real and
Yeah.
honest.
Just be honest.
That's. But I hate to see something like that kept out of the public eye. I remember I interviewed Shane Mahoney, and he talked about the wider community wants to know that you actually have a heart, and that when you shoot an animal and if it affects you emotionally, like why they want to know that that's true. And it doesn't. Not everybody experiences the same emotion, but being able to share it and feeling secure and open and safe in sharing something like that is not that easy to do in the community we're in.
Yeah, it's being tough is
It's
a thing.
I know.
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, I've tried to be transparent. Like when Roy died, I tried to. I was hurt, and I was
it is
honest
what it
with
is.
that.
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
What I just think that our industry is full of so many good people, and I hate to see like when Eva killed her bull and I went down just because I wanted to be involved in something awesome.
Yeah.
I hated seeing other hunters talking shit about that.
Trying to
I'm
take
just
it
like,
away from her. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What I want to go down and sharing that success. I love packing elk meat. I love skinning elk
Right.
out. How could this be a negative?
Yeah.
And I saw negative stuff about it.
Shouldn't
I'm
it be
like,
a negative if you didn't do that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That should be the negative.
now
Like,
you're
oh,
just a
Cam didn't go
jerk.
down
Like
and hurt.
Eva's sitting there saying,
Hell.
"Hey Cam, I'm in your state. And you're not even going to come help me."
No,
thanks for
exactly,
keep hammering.
No, I mean it's just like So if we could eliminate that, man, that would be, that would be probably one of my greatest wishes is just being supportive of each other.
Yeah.
This is
That would be-
hunters are fighting for our space in this world right now. I mean we're under. I don't want to over dramatize it, but under attack every day by people who don't get our lifestyle and why we do it. So we can't fight amongst each other. We're a small group anyway.
Yeah.
So I think, if we're doing it right, we're doing it ethical, we're good people. If you're like, it's not Eva's fault. She's got a huge following and gets cool opportunities. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Celebrate it.
awesome. Let's celebrate it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Like
one of my biggest
negativity
things.
doesn't benefit anyone or anything.
Yeah. I agree.
It's just a waste.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for coming on Gritty Podcast, and I could talk forever, but you got some other obligations, so let's do this again sometime. It's just fun.
Iced tea.
Yeah.
Dude looks like iced tea.
Oh yeah, there we go. Hug it out.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Cam.
You guys are studs. I appreciate both of you so much. And just so everybody knows, we're still on Top Live.
I know.
That's amazing.
It just
Really?
shut down.
It just shut down.
Just finally,
Perfect
like
timing.
perfect time,
Yeah.
just shut down. But this has been a
So-
riot.
So Adam and I we're at Hoyt right now,
Yeah,
right?
we're
What
at
time
We're
Hoyt.
is it?
supposed to go to those chairs
4 o'clock?
over there.
We're there at 4.
4:14.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Yep. And
Okay, we're heading over to the Hoyt booth.
Thanks, guys. Stay gritty.
Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place and time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself. What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.